Folks, and welcome back to Talk of Alabama. We're in the Mazer kitchen this morning with Miss Rebecca Gordon from Buttermilk Lipstick. And we're talking about sorbet, especially blackberry sorbet, right?
We're actually talking about sherbet.
Oh,
sherbet.
Is that different than sorbet?
It is a little bit different. And now
Why?
a sorbet is going to have either an egg white or a gelatin in it, and that's going to give it its creaminess.
Okay.
We are using butterfat, and butterfat is one of the components that's in a sherbet. So today I'm using the buttermilk to give us that sort of indulgent flavor.
Wait, is that the only difference between a sorbet and a sherbet?
Pretty much, pretty much. Now you can have an egg white or a gelatin for texture in a sherbet,
Yes.
but you do not have dairy in a sorbet.
I had no idea. Look what we learned today on the show.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to start by processing some fresh blackberries. This is two 12-ounce containers of fresh blackberries that have been rinsed off real well. I've got a little sugar in there. I'm going to add a little bit more. That's 1/3 of a cup going in. And then let's add a few more little blackberries to that.
Okay.
And then we just want to process this. And I like to process on the front end as opposed to cooking the mixture first and then processing, because once the mixture is hot and you process it, it is going to expand in the food processor. So it's just a little bit safer to do this step before they're cooked.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is take this mixture, and we need to essentially make a blackberry puree.
Okay.
So I'm going to put this into our saucepan here, and you're really just cooking this long enough to melt the sugar that we've put in there. So it only takes about 2 minutes or so for that sugar to melt.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is we'll strain this in the next segment. Let me crank up the heat on this, because this needs to get nice and hot for us.
So you strain the seeds out? Or
You're
what
going
are
to
you doing?
strain the seeds out and strain the skins basically off of the mixture.
Okay,
so I'm
see a
just
few
stirring.
bubbles.
Yes, and so we're going to heat this up, and it'll take about 2 minutes or so for that to happen. Now, you were asking about the difference between sorbet and sherbet.
Yes.
The thing I like about a sherbet is that, unlike an ice cream where you basically make a custard
Yes.
and then chill it and then put that in your ice cream maker, you don't have to cook the eggs. There are eggs that are in
Oh,
or the egg yolks are in the ice cream, and so you still get that rich, indulgent flavor because you're getting the fat, the butter fat, from whatever sort of dairy you use.
Okay.
And so it's sort of a shortcut. You don't have to do that
Yeah, I
extra
like
step
that.
of making sure you thicken the mixture and all that.
Yes.
The
I like
one
that.
thing you do want to make sure you're doing when you're making any sort of ice cream or sherbet or anything that is heated ahead of time, you want to make sure that ice cream base is real cold, or that sherbet base is real cold before it goes into the ice cream maker, so that it firms up as it should.
Okay, because I got you. That's important.
Oh, absolutely. And so some of the ingredients we'll be adding in just a bit once we get this all cooked. I like to use a vanilla bean paste in this. I don't know if everybody's noticed, but the vanilla beans themselves are very expensive right now. They're sort of a shortage. And so you can get that same vanilla bean flavor with the vanilla paste.
Okay, first of all, I had no idea they even made this.
It's a great
Secondly,
product.
you got it at the fresh market.
I did, and you can get it in a lot of different places. You can get it, Amazon sells it, lots of different places sell it.
And so look, I want to show everybody the consistency at home. I'm going to pour a
Yes,
little bit into
pour
here.
a little bit out because it is cooked. It is basically vanilla beans that have been ground up, and
see
it's combined with bourbon. You know, there is alcohol in extracts and things. It's with bourbon and then sugar. It's a good bit of sugar, but it is a little bit sweeter in flavor because it does have the sugar in it.
Okay.
But
yes, it's a little.
it
it's
has
kind of
that
like a,
vanilla taste, that really fresh taste that takes it up a notch from your
Yes.
traditional extract.
It's kind of like this. The consistency of molasses is what it feels like.
Yeah, it is. And then to give us, instead of using the egg white, which you know, a lot of people can't eat the raw eggs.
Yes.
There's a risk to that. I'm using a little corn syrup to give us that nice texture that you're kind of looking for when you're working with sherbets and ice creams and such. That gives a smooth flavor.
Okay, we got to take a break now. When we come back, are we going to mix?
We are going to actually strain this off. I'm going to show you how to do that,
Okay.
and I'm going to show you how many seeds and everything come off of that, and then we're going to put it into the ice cream maker and let it go.
Okay, don't go
Yeah.
anywhere. And welcome back. We're in the Mazer kitchen with Rebecca Gordon from Buttermilk Lipstick. So she's straining the seeds. I cannot believe how many seeds.
Well, I know, I want you to see this because it
Okay,
is a
turn it
lot
this
of
way.
seeds and
Look
a
at
lot
this.
of skin from the blackberries. And so you want to make sure that to have a nice, smooth and creamy texture that you push this through a fine wire mesh sieve.
Okay, so look at the amount. And this was only
This was 2 12-ounce containers.
2 12-ounce containers, so it's a good cup or so just of seed and skin left over that you've strained out.
Definitely.
And underneath the juice.
Yes, exactly. That's the bread and butter, so to speak, and that's what we want. So you want to get all of that into your measuring cup here. And what you'll want to do is, like I said before, you want this to be nice and well chilled. So you'll basically chill this mixture first, and once it chills, it's going to have this thickened consistency.
Okay.
You'll end up with about 1 3/4 cups. We're using a machine that will make about 2 quarts of mixture, and so you want to make sure that you don't have more than 4 cups going into the machine, or it
Okay.
won't be large enough. So once this is chilled, we're going to pretend like it's chilled and that it's like this consistency here.
Okay.
We're going to, and it takes about 4 hours or so, we're going to add 1 1/2 cups of buttermilk to this. And if
Okay.
you'll hand me the whisk,
Whisk.
please.
Okay.
But I want you to see how pretty this is. It just turns this beautiful purple color. And then, like I said before, we're going to add the light corn syrup. We used a little sugar at the beginning, and now we're adding the light corn syrup, which will give us the nice, smooth and creamy texture once it churns.
Okay.
And then I like to add a little bit of nutmeg to it.
Okay.
And that just gives it a little added extra flavor, and then a little bit of lemon juice. And one thing I like to do is use the press, cut the lemons in half
Okay.
and press that through to collect the seeds. And I like to do it through a fine wire mesh sieve too to collect those seeds so they don't get into the juice itself.
Okay.
And then that vanilla bean paste that you were
How much of that?
working. This is a 1/2 teaspoon going in.
Half
This
teaspoon,
1/2
okay.
teaspoon. Whisk this well. Put this in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes, so it's nice and chilled too.
Okay.
And you'll want to make sure to chill your ice cream base well. You'll have to freeze it 24 hours if you use a machine like this. There's several on the market. Or you can use the ice and salt method, which
Yes.
there are a lot of machines like that on the market too. But basically you want that base to be nice and cold. And this will churn for about 20 minutes in the ice cream maker. And I have some that's already nice and chilled right here.
Okay.
You'll basically put the churning mechanism in the center, and while it's running, you're going to slowly pour that into the mixture, into the maker while it's going, and literally put the timer on the clock on your, on your stovetop for about 15 or 20 minutes or so, and it starts to churn.
Ice cream.
Yeah, and what you want to do is make sure, I like to use a loaf pan to put it in after it turns. Make sure you put this in the freezer so it's nice and cold, so you're putting this cold churned mixture into the cold pan, and it will set a lot better for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my next life, I'm going to be as ambitious as this and make my own ice cream. Instead of just buying it at the store, because this looks so much healthier.
It's a lot healthier, and you're really taking advantage of that seasonal fruit that's so
Yes.
abundant right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to her website, Buttermilk Lipstick, for more information on this recipe and so many more. And welcome back. We're in the kitchen, and it is time for our dessert. Okay, now what?
Okay, so we have placed this in our loaf pan and
Yes.
put it in the freezer. And now what I like to do is take the pan out and let it stand for about 5 minutes or so, and then
Voila!
voila, you have sherbet.
There it is. Have a great Monday. Go to Buttermilk Lipstick. Bye-bye.